Hi, I am Ashley Schubert. I know Julie because... Oh, slow. Hi, I am Ashley Schubert. I know Julie because my Aunt Stephanie worked for the Dax Foundation. Therefore, I have been to many of the Dax events. I wanted to raise money for the Dax Foundation because I think it is a great cause. During Connections, we raise money to help send kids with cancer to Camp Coco where they can have a fun week at camp without having to worry about their cancer. Please help me welcome Julie Love.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. It's an honor to be here today and such a blessing to be a part of this wonderful cause and to be touched by such a special family as Stephanie Brown, my friend, who lives in Washington, where I'm from. I wanted to open with explaining to you about my son Dax. I started this foundation in honor of my son Dax. He was born in 2007, a healthy, perfect little boy. And by the time he turned 6 months old, he was ill, and I couldn't figure out what was wrong. On his very first birthday was our last day together outside of a hospital. We went to a hospital that day, and we never left. In fact, it took 4 hospitals for us to figure out what was wrong with Dax. I was a new mom, he was little, and I didn't know what to do, and quite frankly, nobody knew what to do until we got to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. The last hospital that we were at before St. Jude, when they told us what was wrong with Dax, he was diagnosed with AML M7 leukemia. And they said, we don't have a treatment here available, but you're welcome to stay here. But if I were you, I would go to St. Jude. And at that moment, there wasn't even a question. I said, take us there. I've never been there. I've never paid attention to those flyers that come to me in the mail. I don't know anybody that has cancer. This hasn't affected me. St. Jude was not something that I even had any idea what they did in that building. Within 8 hours, St. Jude sent an airplane to get my son, and they life-flighted him directly to St. Jude. I walked in that hospital, and this was my 4th hospital, like I said. And I was tired. I hadn't been in a bed for a month. And I walk in there defeated and so scared and nervous. And I had driven under the airplane because Dax's dad flew with him. I needed to go home and pack. They told me that I would be staying for at least 3 months, I think. And I was just appalled that I was going to be away from my home for 3 months. Little did I know that that was going to become my home, and a place that taught me about hope and what that really was and how much I desperately needed it. My first, like everybody when you go into a hospital, it's so big, has that smell, you just want to be home. Nobody likes to be in the hospital. For those of you that have been there, I know you can relate. Nothing is better than your bed and the comfort of your home and your family. Well, I walked into this hospital, and it was 4 o'clock in the morning by the time I was able to get there, and my son was in a rocking chair with a nurse, and a nurse was patting his back, and he was 1, he was a baby, and Dax's dad was sleeping on the couch. And that was the first time that I truly felt at peace with where I was. This nurse, you know nurses are busy, they don't have time to hold your baby while the baby's sleeping. But at that time, I felt comfortable for the first time outside of my home, and I knew I was in a special place. The next morning, we woke up, and we started figuring out what was next. And it was a very scary thing. Like I said, I knew nobody with cancer, let alone a child with cancer, or what we were going to face. This gentleman walks into my room in just street clothes, and he sits down, and it ended up being Dax's doctor. And never once did he ask us to address him by doctor. His name was Jeff. He gave me his personal cell phone number, and he sat in there with me for 4 hours. My mom actually fell asleep. She was with me. She was snoring in the chair. And that's a funny part of the story. So he stayed until we were comfortable enough to make my mom fall asleep, comfortable enough for me to feel like I could call him at any moment with any question. This was a hospital. That's not something I'd ever seen before. They told us at that time about Dax's cancer. It was leukemia, which we all hear about in children. Cancer, it's a common type of cancer. And one thing that is amazing about St. Jude is that they're a research hospital. And childhood leukemia is rampant. But they have the most common type of leukemia, 98% cured from children who are there. So us going in, we kind of researched that, and we are excited to be there. We knew there was hope there. What I didn't realize is when I pulled up, that hospital was very big, and it was intimidating. You know, I'm in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm from a very small town. I'd never seen homeless people on the streets. I was so out of my element. And I pull in, and the hospital I walked into was actually very quaint and small. And 98% of the buildings on this huge campus was all research. So behind us were all these scientists and researchers and people from all over the world that were traveling there to study cancer. With that being said, that day that we woke up and we got to meet with our doctors, they also came in the room and told us, here is a key to your house, your housing that you will be staying in, and it's free. This hospital is free. Anything you need, we can take care of. Your food, your gas, anything. And we're like, we have insurance, and we don't, I thought that they were just trying to help us out. We were a young couple, and it was our first child, and that was very friendly. They said, no, every family in here does not pay a medical bill. There's no other place like that. I can't tell you, those moments happened every single day. I would walk down the hallway. The cleaning people were as friendly as the top researchers. They all looked you directly in your face, called you by first name, you called them by first name. The ladies in the cafeteria asked me about my son. And with this warm southern draw, I began to feel so at home and so comforted by this place. Never did I even dream of what it would do for me. So when they told us about Dax's cancer, they did tell us that it was actually a very rare type of leukemia that was common in men over the age of 65. And it's not something that they were able to treat, but they had some things that we could try. And with that little bit of hope right there, I clung to that. And they said we could start this chemotherapy and see how his body would react, but he's going to need a bone marrow transplant. Well, Dax was one. And for those of you who have ever heard of the Bone Marrow Registry, it's an amazing, amazing organization that you can donate your bone marrow and save someone's life. And they talked to us a little bit about that, but Dax was too small. He was one, and you have to be two to get a transplant like that. So the doctor, that was Dax's doctor, wrote a protocol, which is like a treatment plan, and they took my stem cells out of me and gave them to Dax because he was too little to go onto the registry and get bone marrow from somebody else. Again, hope, something to cling to. I was able to give him something, try my hardest, give everything I could. If I would have stayed in that first hospital, we would have stayed for a month and I wouldn't have had any extra time with my son. Things like this that St. Jude is doing, it gave me a year and a half with Dax. And it gave the data that they collected from Dax and all the things they were able to try on him, they're able to share to people who have breast cancer, who have all types of cancers. It's a research hospital, so they share the information. I can't say enough about St. Jude. When I was there, I spent a year and a half there with my son. Like I said, I never paid a medical bill. And never once I asked for something and be turned down. In fact, they would make treatment plans for us to try. They gave us the housing. I was a little intimidated by the word housing. I missed my home, and I didn't want to go in this community situation of living. Well, I pull up to this housing place, and I'll tell you what, it's like Disney came in and set up this place for these families to live. I had my own apartment, had my own kitchen, my own living room, 2 bedrooms. They came in and cleaned it once a week, and they gave me a card to Kroger for $100 a week to fill my refrigerator, just in case I was able to go back to my room and get out of the hospital. And for when my family came, they were able to stay there for free also. Tiger Woods, he was a golf professional, donated the library. Some pop singers donated the cafeteria, and these people would come and they would just dote on these children and these families. Things like this over and over happen constantly, and what it does for your heart during a time like that is something that can't be bought with money. What it did for me was this housing. I moved in here and I began to meet families, because you're forced to. You're forced in these community spaces where you don't really want to go when you're facing something hard. It's more common to shut off and shut the door. I don't want to do this. But this housing situation had these open areas where we could all meet up and then we could start talking about our kids. And I met a group of women, and we all had the same type of cancer, and we all came in about the same time. And these women all had something I didn't. They loved the Lord. And I was young, and that was not something that had my heart. My eyes were not open to that. I was more relying on the doctors. I was more relying on people. But these women came in, and they would not let me go. All of our kids had the same disease. And we're there. We are all from different walks of life. Some are from Baton Rouge, some are from Mississippi and Florida. We are all from different places, but they were all placed perfectly around me for what was about to happen. And I had no idea what the power would do, what that would do. So Dax went on with the bone marrow transplant, and he actually had to have two, which was really difficult. When you have a bone marrow transplant, you can't be in public for a year. You can't eat anything that hasn't been opened for more than an hour for a year. So if you think about a tub of butter, if I opened it, Dax couldn't have it again. After an hour of it being opened, we had to throw it away. It was hard. So he was that susceptible to anything. You couldn't walk into a gas station or restaurant. Unfortunately, though, the transplants didn't work. And St. Jude told me, it was before Halloween, because I remember I got home around Halloween. It was near this time. And they said, he's not going to make it to Christmas. But at that time, I was so comfortable in Memphis, and I was so comfortable at that hospital. It became my home, which I can't believe is coming out of my mouth, or never did I think something would be more comfortable to me than my home. And St. Jude said, we would say 6 weeks. You would probably have about 6 weeks with him. So I took my baby home, and I had to go back to Illinois. And the hardest part was leaving those women that were there for me and praying that even though I wasn't listening to them, they did not give up. That was my family. And I couldn't go back to the normal world. That wasn't my normal, that wasn't my life. But I did. We got in the car, and I got home to Washington, Illinois. And during that time, when Dax was sick, I wrote a blog. It's called Caring Bridge. It was a free resource that you can blog your journey. I was so tired of my phone. It was blowing up, and I just wanted that time with my son, so I didn't want to look at my phone, so I typed this blog about Dax's story. And over time, there was my whole community started reading it. And before long, I had 2 million people reading this blog about my son in this town. And I get home, and everybody knew. So if you can imagine, if this happened in your community, I can just see how you guys already come together and take care of everybody. You just want to do something. It's such a hopeless feeling. And so I had a door full of people at my door constantly with meals and presents, and I can't even tell you. I actually put a sheet over my door because my son, I just needed to hold him. And I was so overwhelmed. So my neighbor said, what can we do? I'm like, well, he's not going to be here till Christmas, so we would like to give him a Christmas. That's what we're doing. I just need some privacy. I just want this time with my son. So she rallied together, her and her husband, and they put up Christmas lights. And it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't Halloween yet, so that was, everybody was, what is going on? What is going on? And within, I would say, a week, 150 houses in my subdivision were lit up with Christmas lights, and it wasn't Halloween yet. That that simple act of support and love was exactly what I needed. I finally felt comfortable. I felt like people cared, but they could show me that in a way that wasn't, that allowed me to spend time with them. In the middle of all of this, a songwriter named Matthew West, he's a Christian songwriter on WCIC. I don't know if that's the station here, but that's our Christian station back at home. He called me and he said, "Ma'am, there's these people that keep telling me about your little boy named Dax." He's like, "I want to write you a song." I'm like, "That's so nice. You know, all these people were writing me songs and sending me paintings and all of these things about Dax." Because social media really blew it up. And I was so appreciative of it, but it was so consuming. And I'm like, "If you could just email that to me, that would be nice." And so he did. He emailed me that song. Dax did make it to Christmas, which was amazing. He passed away on December 30th. And I can just tell you right now, like when I told you about when I got to St. Jude and that nurse was holding my baby and rocking my baby when I first walked in there, St. Jude was with us till the very end, and Dax was just as comfortable during that time. They made sure every step of the way that it was perfect for us and comfortable for him. I left that hospital that day and it was hard. I can't lie, it was very hard. I was hopeless. I had no hope. I had no peace. I had nothing, but I knew I was going to have to bury my son. And all of those people from St. Jude came to my town, and that's who I wanted. That's who I felt the most comfortable with. After that all happened, Matthew West sent me the song that I was telling you guys about. He's like, I just feel like I need to make a music video about this. Can you guys send me some pictures and some movies or anything you have of him? I'd like to make a movie about this. He throws together a music video from that, and it goes viral when he posts it. And it just all happened so fast. With that happening and that song hitting the Christian music station, a movie producer picked up the song and called me. And they said, "We want to make a movie about this song. You know, it's amazing to hear about what your town did with the Christmas lights and this little boy, how he is just making such a difference." And I couldn't even feel like I wanted to feel. And now I see it that was the Holy Spirit. It wasn't going to let me go down, because during that time I wanted to. You wanted to just stop. You just wanted to be inside and go to sleep and not get up. But the Holy Spirit didn't allow that. I'm going to LA to make a movie about my son with the Gospel Movie Channel and with Matthew West, this Christian songwriter, and I'm not living my life for the Lord. And all these people who love the Lord are loving me. I can't tell you the day that I hit my knees and I said, "Okay, I'm in for you, Lord. This is where my life, this is what you have been doing for me since the moment I walked into St. Jude." And those women started just loving on me when I needed you the most. It was during that time that now looking back, I can say I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful for what God allowed. I'm so thankful for what He has done with it, through the movie and through the song, and now through the foundation. So in honor of Dax, I started the foundation, the Dax Foundation. It cost, when I was at St. Jude, it cost $1.6 million a day for these families. That was back in 2010. So now with inflation, it's probably about $2 million. So for us, for those families to have that housing, that research, the facility, anything needed, the resources, $1.6 million. I was humbled. I was humbled to be sitting in a facility like that, being taken care of so well, because so many people believe and care about this place. Most of their donations come in from $20 or less. That is how that place is ran. So when you get that little St. Jude card in the mail, just know that they are doing amazing, amazing things. Not just for our children, but that is, like I said, a research hospital, so it is shared with all types of cancers and places. So with that being said, I brought you all a copy of our movie. I wanted to share this with you, so when you leave, make sure you grab one. I just want to share with you. It's a family-friendly, amazing movie, and Matthew West, the songwriter, is in it. He plays the neighbor that started the Christmas lights. And it's just a beautiful testament to, you won't, like, it doesn't talk about it in here, but like I just shared with you, the backstory about when the Holy Spirit got me, and it changed my life. And I'll tell you what, it all started because of somebody like Ashlyn, who was a light in my life when it was all dark. John 1, verse 5, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness can never extinguish it. I was so drawn to it. I was so drawn to the love and the generosity. It's the only thing that could fill me. There was nothing I could, outside of that, there was nothing. So I just, sitting and hearing all of your guys' praises and all that you do in this community, it just touched my heart so much to hear how much you guys work together to be that light for so many people in need. So my foundation, I started the foundation to raise $1.6 million in honor of Dax. And we just did that 2 years ago, and we donated the money to St. Jude, which was an amazing blessing. Right now, my foundation is also working on another housing place for families in our town in Peoria, where I'm from. We have the St. Jude Clinic. But there's no housing like there was in Memphis, so that is something that I'm working on right now. And I just kind of wanted to address with you guys because there was a wonderful little girl, Ashlyn, who spoke here about the Dax Foundation, and it touched somebody here named Arlene Powers. She was a member here who fought cancer, and I was blessed by the trustees called me and said that her desire was to do something for childhood cancer, and she made a very generous donation to the foundation for us to begin the process of building this. We're building a Ronald McDonald house in our town, and that will be free for the families, and a place for the Holy Spirit to move in their lives. So it's such an honor and a blessing to be here today, just to share a little bit about my life and my story, but most importantly, what the Lord's done. And I just encourage you all just to be a light and to continue to do all you can. And we're just so thankful for Pastor Brenda allowing us to come and share. And on behalf of my executive board and the foundation, I just want to thank you all again for having me today. Thank you.
Ashlyn did play a part of that whole gift from Arlene. Ashlyn had gotten kids from Connections all riled up and wanted them to, between all the Connection kids and all of your donations, because she had the cups, the containers, that you put money in. This was about a year ago, I think. And when she got like $1,000 donated from our two churches, from Kent Willow and from Wesley alone, just that. But in all of that cheerleading she was doing, Arlene heard that. Arlene is a member at the Kent Willow congregation, and Arlene heard that, and she wanted more than anything to do something for families, for kids. And after her death, the trustees of her estate made the decision that this would indeed be something she would value, and a large gift was given in order to help with that. So I'm so happy to hear that you have a goal in mind. I'm really humbled by how she gets things done. Isn't that awesome? Both of these ladies, both Ashlyn and Julie have just said, I think that's a testimony to who they are, but it's also a testimony to what God can do when you just let God do with you what He intends to do. Let the Holy Spirit do His thing. And we can't take credit for that, but it is a beautiful thing when you see it working. So when the whole body comes together, it can be magical. So I thank you very much for sharing your story. And again, if anyone wants to continue helping specifically, now that we know specifically what you're working toward, that's a great goal to see. And I love to see things take shape. So I have a gift myself I want to make sure that I put in your hands before you leave today. It's not like Arlene left you. Oh, Carol